Like I'm sure a lot of you, I used this weekend to spend a lot of time with Jessica Jones. Season 2 of the Netflix superhero show. Their partnership with Marvel continues. And I had a good time with Jessica Jones. I was depressed a lot, which is, I think, par for the course with this character who is highly volatile, highly emotional, high-strung, lots of demons in her closet, still kind of reeling from all of the ramifications of Season 1 and the unbelievably scary Purple Man, or Kilgrave, played by David Tennant, who was fantastic in the first season and clearly leaves a big shadow and some big shoes to fill, especially in the bad guy department with Season 2. And Season 2 doesn't really kind of pick up the reins in exactly the same way. They don't just throw in another big bad that is going to one-up what we just saw. It's a little bit more cerebral and sort of plumbing the depths of Jessica Jones's sort of emotional history. And I like that. I thought that was a cool sort of zag when we expect them to zig with this show. And that's, I think, the kind of uniqueness about Jessica Jones as a series or as a character in general. I mean, we just don't normally get to understand the emotional kind of truth of these heroes. They usually just have, you know, bad guys that they have to fight, and we go from action beat to action beat, and we kind of sort of, you know, count down until we get into a big fight. With Jessica Jones, everything is a little more subdued and a little bit more contemplative, and it's about relationships, not just with friends who Jessica Jones seems to be able to attract, even though she's kind of surly and doesn't seem like she would be a lot of fun to hang out with. She has a great associate named Malcolm who works with her in this private investigation company that she has. And then she's also got Jill Walker, or Patsy as she's known because of her child star history, played by Rachel Taylor, who is, you know, a good sort of counterbalance to the dark and depressing Jessica Jones. We've got this kind of bright, sunny celebrity in Jill Walker, although she goes through her own travails in Season 2 as well, and they've got some issues to kind of contend with between Jessica and Jill. And I liked all of that stuff. There's a lot of mom stuff, a lot of familial baggage that comes up in this season, and some of that got a little tedious. I will say that 13 episodes in this kind of an emotional churn does start to feel a little bit like we're treading water, and we're sort of revisiting a lot of the same themes and the same arguments again and again. And I almost wish that Netflix and Marvel would come to an agreement that, look, if it feels a little weighty, if it feels like there's a lot of this going on, let's shrink it down to, I think this would have been an amazing 8-episode arc. I just feel like for the bingers out there like me, who sort of take it all in a weekend, it's a little much, you know, and especially because this is a show that doesn't, and all of the Netflix Marvel stuff, they don't hold back, you know. There's lots of grotesque violence, there's lots of heavy themes, there's lots of scar tissue, you know, at the end of watching all of this stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, I'm dancing around the plot, and that's on purpose. I do say, look, Season 1 was better, so if you haven't seen Jessica Jones, jump in, check that out, and if that felt right for you, please go on to Season 2. I really like Jessica Jones. I like it because it's a show that feels unique. We don't really get this kind of tone with our superhero shows. I just think Krysten Ritter is fantastic as this character. I couldn't imagine a better performer for this role. She sort of carries that goth chick, angry, at the world kind of vibe so effortlessly, and there's also a sense of humor, you know, permeating throughout all of this. It's so dark and depressing, and she's aware of how dark and depressing she is, and I dig all of that stuff. I also love that Callum Keith Rennie makes an appearance in this show. He's a terrific actor who I've loved since I first discovered him on Battlestar Galactica, and he plays a character that we see a lot of in superhero type shows and sort of mysterious type shows, X-Files type shows, but he plays it in a completely different direction. He humanizes it. And that's the thing with this show, right? Like it's a show about these super powered people, but it's also very grounded and very human and very believable. And the city of New York that they explore and they have their adventures in feels like the same New York I was just in for Toy Fair a couple of months ago. And I like all of that stuff. And I hope it continues. I think that there's some nice kinds of threads left at the end of Season 2 for some interesting new directions for season 3. Maybe a little bit more hopeful Jessica Jones. But I'm going to leave the plot exploration to you guys. I will just tell you that I had a good time overall with Jessica Jones season 2. I think it's a good season. It's a nice follow-up to a very hard to beat season 1. I'm going to give Jessica Jones season 2 an 8 out of 10.